Okay. Okay, I think we are live.
Yes.
Beautiful. As I told you, like nothing really changed in terms of like for us. I mean, some the settings and everything. So yeah, it just looks the same. All right, guys. So hello, everyone. We're super happy today to be here with you, and whoever will be watching live, whoever will be watching the recording, we appreciate you guys. I'm Maria Glazunova. I'm a Tech English communication coach. I specialize in empowering tech professionals to skyrocket their careers, feel confident, and have this executive presence through English communication skills. And for that, I offer a 10-week customized program. And today, I have an absolutely amazing guest, Carla Ferreira from England, but originally from Portugal. Well, she will tell us a little bit more about herself just in a second, okay? And today, so we will dive into a framework, a very interesting one that can help tech leaders first to really enhance their personal performance, then to build high performing teams, to drive business results, and finally to create a happier and more engaging employees, right? Not maybe create, but to cultivate, yeah, cultivate happier and more engaging employees. Guys, if you have any questions as we will be going, through all these topics, right, all these frameworks, please feel free to share some questions, to share your comments, whatever is good for you. We'll be happy to address them. And I also wanted to say that if for some reason I'm not really mentioning your question or your comment, it means that I don't see it, because I mean, I'm trying to right now to figure out some settings why that happens, but I'm still in progress. Sorry. Doing my best. If you have, by the way, some tip, I don't know how to do that, I would be super grateful, because I'm still, I don't know, like figuring this out. Yeah, so thank you so much, and again, please share with us. And if we don't mention your question or your comment afterwards, we will definitely come back to you and definitely answer. And yeah, you can also just send us even DMs or anything like that. So we are absolutely open and here, and absolutely, yeah, happy to, I don't know, assist or answer any of your questions. Okay, Carla, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Yes. First, thank you for the introduction and thank you for the opportunity. We connected on the basis that you work in communication skills. I also kind of tap into that, but I'm more focused on the leadership and management and career progression as well.
Mhm.
So let me give a bit of an overview of who I am for the audience to understand. So I'm Carla. I'm Portuguese by birth, and I lived there for many years of my life. And I studied computer science at the beginning. This was a very big passion of mine since I was 15, 16. That's kind of where I started in tech. Then I moved forward, did computer science in uni, started as a software developer. And after a couple of years doing that, I realized that what I loved back in uni was the interaction with people, the projects, and being part of all of that magic. And being a software developer was not giving me that. So I had to figure out what was I going to do next with my career. And I found that there is this thing called project management, and I thought, okay, how am I going to crack this egg? Because, you know, 16, 17 years ago, going from software developer to project manager was not a thing that just people just handing out to you. And you can ask me questions around this, how I cracked this egg. But eventually, within 6 to 12 months, I managed to have someone giving me an offer for an internship. And that's kind of how it started. And I've been doing project and program management ever since for big organizations like BP, Roche, PwC, small, medium, startups, scale ups. And I love the diversity of industries that this type of job has exposed me to, types of people. I work from people from all over the world right now, different cultures, different mindsets. And I had to stretch a lot to learn because I had small teams, like 5 people to 60 people. So you have to learn how to do, how do you focus when you have a small team and you want to get the most out of it, and you have a smaller organization possibly, or when you have a large organization and a lot of pressure for delivery, how you also adjust to this. And these are the types of things I can share, we can talk about today, and give the audience also some insights. And again, Maria was saying, if you guys have questions right now or even after the session, feel free to connect, drop us a message. I think we're pretty much open. We want to help people. We want to help people in the tech space, and would be more than happy. And that brings us, at least for me, it brings me a lot of fulfillment when I can help people. And I think for you is the same, right, Maria?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Nothing makes me more happier. Okay, happier, sir.
Mm.
Nice, nice. Okay, thank you so much for your introduction. Oh my God, you have such extensive experience. Yeah, when we first also talked, I was like mind blown, to be honest, and by your um like warmth that just comes really like the first from you, and you just like engaging people, and I can feel that. Oh my God, you're like an amazing leader, and like really engaging and really caring. That's what I get, like the vibe I get from you. So that's, I don't know, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback.
Well, yeah, sure, sure, absolutely. So first, let's talk about personal development, right? uh, and this is a very interesting topic because it's like leading by example. And when you shared this with me, I had actually the first idea. It was my personal example of my granny who turned 96 just a few days ago. Yes, I'm like, oh wow, because she's the person who is, I don't know, my kind of hero in a way, who has been leading by example, always projecting, this inner power presence without even saying the word. But the way she was always, just like projecting, she has been continuously working on herself, and like being punctual, organized, and she always did that herself. And she didn't even taught us so much, or like, you do this, you do that. I mean, to some extent she did, right? But yeah, but she always she did that herself. And this is something that I appreciate, because it really kind of instilled some things in me, like deeply inside, I would say. So that's why when you just like offered, this as a first thing, like personal development, it was like so interesting for me, because this is really so important, right? And I'm really curious, what are your strategies to yeah, of this personal development and personal growth?
Mhm. Like, I love that. By the way, I love that post you put about your granny the other day. I was so, wow, inspired. I had goosebumps. You're talking again. I'm having goosebumps again because this. I believe that this is the type of people that move the planet forward. You know, in a spiritual way, in a personal development way, and
Mm-hmm.
we need more of those people. And I find it interesting because my grandfather used to be an entrepreneur, and I think the little bug that I have about being an entrepreneur is still comes from him, although I was quite young when when he passed away. But it was enough, the interaction and the warmth, the loving kindness. It stems from the people that you surround yourself with. They might not be your family. So on the question you bring and tapping onto that and putting, so for me, the personal development was always super important. As soon as I finished university and I started going to the job market, I saw a completely different setting.
Mm-hmm.
Now stuff is serious, and you're expected to deliver on a timeline. There's not an extension, So I got in touch with personal development until I was around 23. I think that's when I picked my first personal development book. And the first ones were pretty much around myself and my personality. Very quickly, I moved into leadership because I
Mm-hmm.
needed inspiration somehow. I needed to understand, how are other people growing? What are they doing? What strategies are they using? And I found that through reading, that was a big support in the beginning of my career. Also, for the technical aspect, as soon as I became a project manager, I found myself in a new field. Right, this is management now. This is people. It's nothing to do with computers, and we're going to talk a bit more about that in ahead in this session. But it's so I felt like I needed a few things in place. One, very quickly, I discovered I needed a mentor. So after 6 months in the job, I'm trying my best, and I was still doing a technical role slash project management. I found I need to find a mentor. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Finding a mentor is crucial, and it has to be someone that relates to you. So you have a feel good vibe from that person. You feel you're aligned. and they need to be warm and kind as well to you, because they will need to give you feedback for your growth. And if they don't do that in a nice way, in a way that you feel psychologically safe, that you feel like you've been nurtured, you've been validated, and that you are aligned with that person, that they're not forcing you or pushing you to go in a different right direction. So this is super important, that when you find a mentor, you actually relate to that person, and you feel that, oh, this could be my best friend. You might not be, but you need to feel that kind of thing. That's my perspective.
Sorry, I just Mahima. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I'm sorry if I did not. You see, he's like smiling because you see it resonates, because I think it's so important. Even right now, I have also a coach,
Yes,
and like business direction, because there are so many things that you cannot just do on your own. Some, I don't know, marketing and all these things. And what I appreciate a lot, that this person of course gives me the different tools and everything, right, like in terms of like really comprehensive and really great ones,
yes,
but also emotional support. And for me this is really important. I think this for me is like even one of the most important things, because the moment I feel it, like this energy, and somebody just cheering up for me and really believes in me. Of course, I'm believing in myself as well, right? But this comes from the person also who really wants me to succeed, and really supports me. I don't know, this just like crazy, just like drives me forward. Yeah, I'm learning and everything, but this emotional support, it just, I don't know, for me it's like one of the crucial things.
yes, yes. And I always had either a mentor or a coach. So,
Hmm.
and sometimes people come to me and they think that, oh, you've got, you've figured it out. No, I still have mentors. I still have coaches. Because if you are growing and doing it on your own, it can be done, but it's easier and quicker. And you again, you spoke about having this validation, this emotional support. This is super important, because for as much as we learn a skill, if we are if we don't have our emotions validated, if we don't have a sense of safety, we will not be able to take that step forward and to being it, uh, asking for a promotion, speaking up in the meeting, even projecting your career. If you don't feel emotionally safe that you can do it and that there is no harm,
Hmm.
you'll just stay in the thinking space, and you
Hmm.
learn about it, but you'll stay pretty much in the thinking space. And to get that courage, sometimes we need validation from the exterior, with a coach, with a mentor. And I also coach people. You mentioned you have your 10-week program. I also coach a lot of tech professionals, and when they come to me, usually this is the scenario. They say either they don't have clarity, or they are afraid of doing something, or they feel that they are not worth it. And
Hmm.
I tell you, Maria, the amount of people that I work with that have two masters or one MBA or a computer science degree, and they think, oh, I'm just. And we work through that, because you're not just. You have a lot of skills that you build throughout your life. And what we're going to do is leverage that. And I think it's pretty much the work you also do.
Oh wow, yeah, absolutely resonating. Yeah, I have absolutely the same situation. People coming to me, and I also help them. Yeah, because they want to like speak up, right, in their meetings and so on, and just like move forward, right, and like get promotions and everything. But yeah, oh, Bhupinder is here. Just a moment, I would like to show what he's like. So inspiring to hear about your granny, Maria. Good leaders empowering others to become leaders. That is so true, right? So it's not about, I think at some point I had, some comparison habits. I don't know, that just like automatically would kick in. And oh my God, it was like so, you know, taking away my power, my power somewhere. And yeah, and when I just worked really hard on the mindset, because it definitely can be done and nurtured and developed, I just started to see completely different results, like being more open, to collaborations, not seeing others as threat, but more like as a collaborators, and that we can thrive together, and we can empower each other, and we can grow, and we can kind of elevate, lift each other up. I don't know, this is that was like a huge transformation for me, I would say, Okay, and Bhupinder also, yeah, every leader or mentor should consider this one of the most important goals. Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much for sharing that. And there is another one. Rachel, she shares we need help to move out of the thinking space. Yeah, like analysis paralysis. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah,
Yes. Yes. And Rachel, it happens to everyone. Even me sitting here right now, I go through that.
yeah,
And every time I'm challenging myself to do something new, I do so much of it. And I have my friends coming to me, "Oh, you're doing so much." That sometimes I'm really honest and I say, if you knew how much fear I had, how much thought process that has behind it, because I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. So
yeah,
it's so funny, and that's when my clients come to me or friends come to me for help,
yeah.
and they say, "Oh, I'm struggling with this." I am like, "Yeah, I know what that is. Let's work through exactly
Exactly. Yeah.
what we need to do here." And I want to touch upon what you said before about comparison with others, because I
Uh-huh.
see this, and now that we are all on social media, or most of us are on social media, and you
Yeah.
go and you start following people. All of these people are super successful, and I saw myself doing this, and then I started to unfollow a lot of people, and
Mm,
I think it's healthy to follow people that are teaching you and all of that. But if your mind is going into the place of comparison and you start feeling inferior, then I really advise for a detox time, a detox period. And the
mm,
detox period can be a week, a month, and just detach from that. Detach from that superstar that it's in an impossible place and you think, oh, I'll never get there. Guess what happens when you think you're never going to get there? You don't do anything.
mm,
Whilst if you just have someone that's on the next step that you are at the
mm,
next level, you feel this person is much more approachable. You might even be able to send them a LinkedIn message or an Instagram direct message as well and say, hey, I looked at what you're doing and I find this so, or a colleague at work, right?
mhm,
Or manager, whomever that is. And we could touch upon mentors at work as well. But it's easier to go for people that are not too far from you. They are more real, and you can ask them direct questions, what their journey looked like, and what practical advice they have for you right now. Then looking at the superstars and thinking, I'll never get there. And, and yeah,
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I actually have, I think, on LinkedIn, some profiles who I'm following. They're like, oh my God, superstars, as you say, But I don't know. I kind of see them not like comparing or something, but I see them like learning opportunity, because their posts and like what they're sharing, their content is like so rich and like so amazing that I'm, like in the morning when, I just like wake up and I'm doing like different tasks and like I'm jumping already. Okay, so what's what do they have, like created, and like, oh my God, I haven't thought about this way. And you kind of, my ideas can also start kind of spinning, and just so I kind of, yeah, but it was a long way. It wasn't like that, because I think comparison, it just like an automatic habit that sometimes it just pops in. It's not something that, oh, now I'm going to compare myself, to this person. No.
yeah, yeah. And you know where that stems from school. When we
Oh,
go to school,
yeah.
we are constantly being compared to others. You grade this, she grades that. So that mentality starts in school, and it's very difficult to get out of it. And as you
Mm,
said, it requires a lot of work around mindset and what do I want to focus on? What are my values? What do I want to achieve? Focus
mm,
more on your inner self than what's happening, outside of here.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think in my personal development, I don't know, path, working on the mindset, it has always played the most important role, I think. Like everything else, it was just already like, yeah, of course, also important, but the mindset, it was, yeah, okay. And Riza, I hope I also pronounce correctly.
Yeah,
Yes, you're doing too much, but it's great that you're supportive and always make you available.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I know who Reza is. Thank you, Reza, for your comments. And so Reza, we used to work together, and so what he's saying here is that I always have time for everything. I don't know how, but I try to make time for everything. And to the people that are important for me, naturally, family comes first, work second, or family, friends, and then work, and then other things. But I try as much as I possibly can, being it when I'm managing a team or when I'm delivering content or when I'm coaching people. I really feel like I have to give I need to give my best.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm at service to people and that I am doing what I'm meant to do or what I have inside of me. Giving what I have inside of me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. I think, uh, would you like to move into the next point of team
Yeah.
performance? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So team performance. So, uh, like, I'm really curious. So how do you ensure that your team they actually, fulfill their potential
Yeah.
and they work together really well, I would say, and they also communicate with each other, so they actually understand each other and they move into like one direction, because this is something that is not easy. And you mentioned that you had like really small teams of like 5 people and 60. It's like it's such a range.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just mind-blowing. So please share.
So let's start with what is the key here? It's communication. So okay,
Wow, surprise. Okay.
everybody. So everybody just call Marie after this call, help, ask her for help. Because if you're a manager or an upcoming leader or in any aspect, shape, or form, you have people that you need to work with. Because even if you're not a manager by title, you are managing. You can. There is this book. One of the first books I read around leadership was called Leadership 360, and it was the concept that you can lead people sideways, upwards, and downwards. And this was really crucial for me because at that time I wanted to manage my manager and I had no clue how to do it. So this it was super important. So if you're at the early stages of your career, I still recommend that book. It's still very valuable and it gives you a perspective of how you can navigate this. But let's talk about team. You spoke about team performance. How do I navigate a team? How do I build a team? And how do I ensure that they are performing, but they're also happy and aligned with the company's objectives and goals? Because in the beginning of this story, we have a job and there is an organization and they need help with something. So usually when I go into a project, and just a small note, most of my careers I've been a contractor, means that I'm going to be given an assignment for 6 months to 12 months. And as they say in the industry, I need to hit the ground running. So people expect me within the first few weeks up to a month to have the team built and everyone aligned,
Oh, wow.
goals and objectives, vision, everything needs to be there. So
Mhm.
it's quite interesting because I've done this multiple times and there is kind of a strategy that works all the time. So if you are in this journey, something is not working with your team, or you are working with your team but you want to improve your team, or you're looking to have a team, first thing is all about people. So
Mhm.
get to know the people that you are working with. And you don't need to do things in a very formal way. Nowadays, we have this platform, we have online and we have face to face. Most of us are working from home right now, and some of us are going back to the office. Another topic. So book a
Yeah.
book a chat with that person. And when you book a coffee chat, it's not about you. It's not about you coming and explaining who you are. If you're, no one cares. Like the person in front of you, what is important, and there is a concept of servant leadership. Most of us heard about it.
Mhm.
So you need to be at service to your team. And by getting to know them individually and knowing who they are as a person,
Mhm.
what type of lifestyle do they have, and in this organization, what are their goals and objectives? Do they want to grow? What do they want? Because
Mhm.
if you are the manager, you kind of hold the power to help them. So that's one of the things. One, get to know the people you're working with, being it upwards, sideways, or downward, and figure out what these pieces of the puzzle look like. And when you finish, you'll notice that you'll start connecting the dots. For example, if you have a small team of 5, 6 people, you'll see that one person likes this and the other person likes that. So you can kind of connect them in a way. And when they do activities or when they do certain tasks, maybe they can join forces and do them together because they appreciate more that side of the business or that type of challenge. One thing that I used to do all the time was understanding what each person wants. And when we have the project goals and objectives, trying to see how I could help each person grow. within that. Because some
And also
people,
foster this collaboration, right? When you're kind of putting them together, right? So you're kind of fostering this. Oh, that's amazing. Mm.
yes, and thank you for saying that. So fostering collaboration is important. If you know them ahead and you know what their wants and needs are, you can quickly put them, and even the activities you do as a team can be different. So some people would love a coffee chat on the Friday where everybody just sits there and they don't talk about business. Maybe some other people prefer one-on-one. They just want to debrief with you once a week, twice a month. So it's about also asking the person, how would you like me to communicate with you, and what type of things would you like to do individually or as a group? And
Mhm.
now, second step, collaboration and communication, right? Your specialty as well here, right? So
Mhm.
here, and maybe I want to hear what your thoughts are in this one as well, because it's important. And for me, having a streamlined way of communicating across the team and between team and management is super important. And the less time I ask for my team to communicate with me, the better. So what I do usually is put a system in place, and we agree that we meet this time of the day every day for 10 minutes or end of the week for half an hour. We put a process in place that works for everyone. This is naturally negotiated between the team and I and other stakeholders sometimes. And we decide, okay, this is the cadence. You can put it on your calendar so there are no surprises. I think one of the things that humans don't like is our surprises. Or we don't we like steadiness, we like stability, we like to know when things are going to happen. So as a manager, if you can provide that stability to your team, and with getting to know them, you're also providing them psychological safety. That's half the work done to start fostering a more collaborative, safe environment where people can focus on what they're doing, but they also know that there is a pathway forward for them.
Mm-hmm.
What do
That's
you
amazing. Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. And you know what, like as you were saying, for some reason one idea popped in my head because recently I read so basically it's also like you're creating, this relationships with people, you're creating this stable and safe environment, trust. Yes, you're building trust with these people, and this is like the foundation for good communication, of course, right? And recently I've read an interesting post by Anna Marie Fieser.
think?
Uh, and she, yeah, she mentioned something that, you know what, I realized about myself that I don't trust people by default. So I actually need to make some conscious efforts, to because of a lot of reasons, of course. And this was something like interesting. Oh wow, yeah. And also another thing that I also read in some other I don't know, some other resources, that we also sometimes don't trust ourselves. So coming back to personal development, right? And sometimes we don't trust ourselves and we start micromanage everything, and just, kind of instill this because yeah, we can have some fear that, oh, something might not work. Are they really doing, this kind of thing. So I think it kind of starts from trusting yourself in the process. You're setting up the systems, right? And also building these relationships, right? And what I appreciate also, like in my work, for example, I don't know, with also different coaches, right? Or like in teams, right? And because I also have, I would say, some collaborations, right? uh, is actually giving, receiving feedback, to be all the time in the constant loop of feedback. And I'm really curious, what kind of so you said that you also discuss guys, how they want to be, how they want to get this feedback, right? In what way and so on.
Mhm.
And I remember that we discussed with you and you mentioned such an interesting thing that they use also some self-reflecting techniques, right? And they may come to you as the manager and they can share. Yeah, can you tell a little bit more about this thing? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I found it fascinating. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So this technique is called do feedback. So instead of you as the manager sitting there in front of the person and giving them feedback, you reverse the process, meaning that you ask the
Uh-huh.
person, so what do you think went right? And the person will say, oh, I think this went really well. Then you ask, what do you think could have gone better? and the person will say, oh, this, and this, and that. And you might finish at the end, you'll ask another question, which is, what practical actions do you think need to be in place for
Mm,
this to happen? Right?
mhm,
This is the framework. Can be done in a group setting, can be done on one-on-one. Let's say you're on one-on-one and you have a team member and you're really struggling to, you know, either making this person evolve, or work on themselves, or maybe you
mhm,
want to be better at what they do. Maybe you want them to be better at something. So
mhm,
you on a call, on a meeting, you can say, oh, I would like to talk with you about topic X, and I would like you to, ahead of time, I would like you to reflect on this. And you can just give them 2 bullet points so that they can reflect, because not everybody thinks on the spot. A lot of people take a lot of time to reflect. They need a few days, maybe a few weeks even. So ask the person, how long do you think you need to reflect on these two key points? And those two key points are, what do you think didn't go right, or what do you think in this situation is not working? Like, if your communication skill, if you feel like the communication skills from your team member are not amazing, for example, you can
mhm,
ask, what do you think you could improve on your leadership skill, on your communication skills? What do you think is not quite working for you? And they will say something like, oh, I'm an introvert, or, I'm so
mhm,
focused on doing software, I don't have, it's not me. And then you'll ask the next question, what do you think you could improve?
mhm,
They might say, oh, okay, maybe I could speak up more in meetings. Maybe I could send more Slack messages. Maybe I could X. And then the third step, which is the action plan. And this is where the magic happens. Because right now, the person has accepted that there is a problem. They kind of envision themselves solving the problem. And now it's actionable. So, what actions are you going to take? What are you going to commit to? And they might say, okay, when we are in that meeting, I will speak for 5 minutes each week. Fine. And then it's about measuring that through time. Uh,
mm,
and in this technique, just to finish, in this technique, the person might ask you also what your side of the thing of
mhm,
what do you think, and you can give your feedback as well. But
mhm,
always ask first the person in front of you so that they are more open. Again, what are we doing here? We are creating an environment of psychological safety. I did a study last year with Tech Woman. About 50 people participated in this study, and psychological safety came as the first major issue that everybody feels when they are at work. They feel like they will be criticized, or they might not even, they might be seen differently or as not as knowledgeable. So there's this immense fear of psychological safety. And why is this? Because here we still have our monkey brain and we still have our caveman brain. And remember, when we used to live in the tribe, and in the tribe, if you get expelled from the tribe, you would die because you'd be in the middle of the forest, and you don't have 10 people to protect you. And that is still here registered in our brain. So when there is risk of rejection, there is risk of someone saying, oh, that's not quite right, or oh my god, so that's why many times we hold ourselves from doing things. um,
mm,
so this
mhm.
is great psychological safety by just explain to the person, hey, this meeting, it's a completely safe space. This is a conversation between you and I. It's not going anywhere after this call. And I would like you to answer these 3 questions. And if you'd like, I will also give you my opinion. It's up to you. I'm here to help and support you.
Oh wow, this is so resonating. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And even like in my work with clients, that's what I even started to do intuitively, because they come to me with some challenges, and of course, there is a lot of not very uncomfortable feelings, because they, for example, they want to speak up, but in like in the meeting, but they cannot do that because they are, I don't know, this analysis paralysis or perfectionism or anything like that, right? So there is a lot of yeah, going on, I would say, right? And my first thing that I always try to do is actually also create this psychological safety, and make sure that the person feels completely comfortable with themselves, in their own skin, with, making some, I don't know, mistakes or something, because the mistakes are opportunities to growth. So they kind of, we also change this direction, I would say, because I think it also comes from school and all that stuff, when we were judged by all this, I don't know, right and wrong and so on. So I kind of, yeah, I also work in that direction, definitely. And what you also mentioned, another thing, that asking the person as well, right, and like make them also analyze and reflect. And that's why I always start with, and then I add my observations and my feedback as well on the top of that. So I usually don't start with my observation. I have both, like some from the person, from me, and it just flows, I would say, in that way. And yeah, it's just like feels, I don't know, feels good for both of us, I would say. I also wanted, oh my god, there are so many comments. Let's dive into them, okay? So Bhupinder said that he can't agree more with Carla. Leadership is about serving others and bringing the best out of people, helping different people with different expertise come together. It's like how a maestro brings, wow, different musicians into an orchestra and helps them create music that mesmerizes audiences. Oh my god, you're so poetic and beautiful, like beautifully describe this. Wow. Okay, another one, Arun. I apologize if I mispronounce. It's a great way to be in sync with team member by starting with questions to understand them, their self-assessment before providing feedback. Great inputs. Thank you. Yeah, Carla, you're the best. and and Shruti, she mentioned that timing oneself as to this is how I definitely have to speak in meetings is such a great point. We'll definitely implement. Thank you. uh yeah, this is speaking up in meetings. This is like the whole another topic, even before with we spoke with another my guest, and he mentioned that, guys, there is no perfect and ideal moment in the meeting. You really, have to, I would say, just like take the reins, and actually do this. Now, of course, in a polite way, and yes, and like not being rude, but also being assertive, right? That's what you also were mentioning even before. How you can you balance between that, being assertive, but also being, kind and nice. Yeah. So can you a little bit?
Yes. So I want to share a little trick. If you are in a meeting and you're not getting space to talk, a little trick is to compliment the person that spoke last. So whatever they said, you compliment. You say, "Oh, I really love what you just said," and you're going to introduce what you have to say, even if it's something different or a different topic. You can just join it by saying, "Oh, I really like what you just said about topic A, which reminds me of," talk about what I want to talk. This is a good strategy because you're complimenting the person, and they naturally they are more open to listen to you because you're complimenting them. And after, you can, when you say something, because you already complimented that person, even if the whole room is there, they think, "Oh, this is a nice person. This is a nice gesture, nice thought." So they're more open. The whole audience is more open to listen to what you're saying. So the next time you're in a meeting and everybody keeps talking, just wait for that little second that there is a bit of silence, and say, "Oh, great. I loved your opinion. I loved your idea. I love that you just mentioned this." And and then you can introduce yourself and
Add
your idea.
something. Yeah, I actually, that's what I did in also some settings in Canada, because I was a little bit in like in another setting, another culture and everything, and they were like talking almost without pausing, and I was waiting actually that they like somebody would enable me to speak and just ask me, and what do you think? Never happened. So I just said, okay, I gotta do something about that, right? And that's what I basically did. Yeah, I liked, yeah, yeah, I agree with John, right? If I, of course, if I actually agreed. And then I would like to add something, right? So for
Yes.
example, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't agree, you can say, "Great point, John,"
Yeah.
and introduce your idea, your opinion, and your perspective.
Yeah, yeah, great ones. All right, all right. Okay, so about team performance, that was a pretty rich discussion. I think we can already move on a little bit into the business part, right? And driving business result, because this is also very much important, right? And how can you, what can you share? How can tech leaders align team efforts with, of course, business objectives to to drive better results? Because basically, they should be definitely, like in line and match, right?
Yes. Thank you for the question. It's as you were saying, in the end of the day, we work for an organization. That organization needs to produce results, and with those results, the economy grows, or or the company grows, and humans, we really enjoy when we are doing something that is fulfilling and we know what we're working towards. And sometimes what happens in technical teams is that if the team is too siloed and you just ask them do this and they don't understand the full perspective, that might be a bit demotivating to them. So what I try
Mhm.
to do when I'm working with a team is, first I will work with senior management on a vision, on a strategy that will become a project plan with milestones and all of that. But I try to, at the beginning of a new project, I sit with the whole team and I am as transparent as possible. So I think the first thing is to be transparent. Having clear objectives, yes. Having clear goals, yes. All of that. And some of those you'll define together with the team,
Mhm.
because you need their estimates, you need to understand how much capacity you have or what the motivations are, and you want to make sure that all of that puzzle is built in a nice way. But after that, it's really important to keep the transparency of what's happening in senior management, what's happening with the market, what's happening with other projects or programs that are affecting this one. And
Mhm.
when you bring people on this journey with you, they naturally they feel like they are a part of a bigger piece of the puzzle, right? They're not, and not
Mhm.
just here on the cogwheel and they're just doing their job. No, they're one part of the whole engine, and they can see how they are contributing for the whole engine to work. And
Mhm.
so I will discuss that with my team. If we're trying to drive results or we're trying to save money, let's say we had a program a few years back where our main goal was to save £6 million to the organization. So I was very transparent. It was not, by the way, it was not by firing, just saying. It
Mhm.
was just a piece of technology that was making us more efficient. So we would spend less in the tech part. But having my team knowing that when we finish this project, this all organization is going to save 6 million. Wow. And this business unit's going to make different investments going forward because now we have this piece of technology and we can scale, or other organizations. For example, I worked with a scale up not too long ago, and their goal was to improve their entire system, so their entire platform, so that they could go to the next round of funding. So when the team knows that you're doing this, naturally they are thinking, "Oh my God, yes! If we do this, we're going to the next round of funding. We'll have more people. We're going to grow. Maybe some of us will get raises or a better job or this or that." So that brings so much fulfillment to the team. And
Mhm.
I hear a lot, and we all hear a lot about things like OKRs and metrics and KPIs. And yes, that's super important. If your organization has them, it's even a good guideline. Where do I go? Where my team needs to be going? What's the direction? But it's also important that they know exactly what that means, not just that line and I'll let towards what's behind that. People need to understand what's behind what they're doing so that they feel, again, part of the group, validated, fulfilled, and having a sense of safety, which is super important.
Wow, this is amazing. Actually, I remembered when, for example, one of my clients, he came and he had some, I would say, like communication challenges, and he told me, Mary, could you please tell me how? So I need to persuade. So I have some innovative idea that I would love to contribute, right? But how can I persuade people? How, like, just give me the correct sentence in the language. And I
Mm,
was, you know what? That's not how it works. It's not just the correct sentence, right? It's a little bit more than that, right? So it's about building also your credibility as a professional in the company. I remember that I took this course by Irina Stanesco, and she also told, like, why should people listen to you, right? So like build that credibility, right? So you kind of, you're a go-to person in a company for some particular, for example, moment, right? And also another thing, as you mentioned, understanding the business part and how your particular work contributes to this bigger picture. And when, for example, you want to contribute your idea and you would like to, for example, speak to the manager, so kind of see things from the perspective of the manager, what do they want and how your idea contributes to that, then you will completely present your idea in a different way, not just, okay, I have this brilliant idea, ta-da, here it is, right? But if you kind of talk it from like, okay, and this brilliant idea, it will influence the outcome here and the outcome there, so kind of developing this as we say, like business acumen, right? So you kind of your understanding of the business, and this is something that also is your responsibility. And also from the communication side, I understood what people sometimes are struggling with. They share some idea, but also it's our responsibility to make sure that other person understands you exactly the way you want them to understand some idea, because we are different. And I had so many such situations when I would kind of share some idea and the person would, yeah, yeah, sure, and then like that person would do something completely different. I'm like, why? And then like, but you said to me like this, and then she would kind of give I would say the extension, like, yeah, of that idea, how she understood it. And I was like, okay, I haven't thought about it that way. Okay, so this is also our, I think, like just keeping in mind, this is our responsibility to, to produce something and also make sure that other people understand you just as you want them, to be, yeah. To
And it's not an easy skill, by the way, what you're mentioning there, because most of the time we assume that other people think the same way we think. They
yeah.
think the same thought process, and sometimes you can even be in a meeting and everybody agrees, and you think everything's fine. But then there are other elements. Sometimes when you actually are doing the work, it's when the questions come. So you have that as something. Sometimes circumstances change in the business as well. Uh,
Mm.
but when you were mentioning that, I was thinking, so especially in tech, what happens a lot of time is that we do things that don't make sense. Okay, but for technical people, they don't make sense. And why? Because sometimes what we need to do is serve the business. So we're not going to do the perfect system. We are going to do something and build on top of that.
Mhm.
Call it agile, you can call it other things. And sometimes for the technical teams, it's very difficult for them to accept this. And the way that I have overcome this in the past was by, again, explaining the whole overall picture and explaining, okay, we are doing this because with this, we're going to reach to this step, or we're going to get more funding, or we're going to get more budget, or we're going to attract more customers. And after that, we can improve on this. And again, when people know why they're doing, they might not even agree. They might come back to you after, say, what, but this, but, and it's fine. As a manager, you should listen. You should listen, but also be compassionate to understand, okay, where the person is coming from, and give them the feedback that, okay, I understand where you're coming from. As soon as we possibly can, let's incorporate this. Or if there is a possibility, why not try to incorporate the idea? Because this is also about fulfillment, helping people grow, and helping the organization grow with people, because organizations need people and we need their ideas. And so it's important to incorporate their ideas. But it's also important sometimes to bring the reality of what's happening, and try to make the most, out of the two.
Exactly. Yeah. So like meet both sides, right? So yeah, yeah, that's the art. I don't know. For me, as I just, work with tech professionals and we always, talk about their situations at work and how we can, kind of move into and really, move their ideas forward and how we can do that and how they can speak up and so on. And it's always like an art of taking into account so many different factors. Yeah, it's fascinating, it's challenging, but it's fascinating, at the same time.
Yes, yes. Navigating the organization is one of the biggest challenges and strengths, because when you learn how to do it, uh,
Mhm.
you do it in one organization, but the next one is going to be quite, the strategy will
Mhm.
be fairly similar. And that's why I think the work that we do, you do in more in on the communication side, I do it more on the leadership aspect.
Mm,
It's so important because the results, when clients get the results, they get them for almost forever. If they want to use the same strategy over and over again, mindset, the way you approach people, the way you network, the way you ask for a mentor, you can repeat that over and over throughout time.
yeah, yeah, I completely agree with. Yeah, this is amazing. All right, and we have the last point that we wanted to discuss. It's about well, cultivating happier and more engaging teams. So maybe we can start first of all with some pitfalls, and some mistakes that can be made that we kind of better avoid. So could you please share first
Yes.
about that?
So I think when you become a new manager, or when you become either you become a new manager or you got used to the things this way, you can come into the pitfall of thinking that again, people think like you think, and if I'm good, why aren't people as good as I am? And I said this already, and people are not going. They're not doing what I'm explaining them. They're not understanding me. And
Mm,
most of the times when people don't understand you is because you are not understanding them first. So
uh-huh.
so this happens in a very common scenario in here is when people come from the technical field. So you were very good at what you were doing. You just got promoted. You have a small, medium sized team. And now you think that things were like they were before. You had a computer, you give the computer instructions, computer understands, or computer gives you, some sort of mistakes, errors, and you compile it again, and new outcome. Doesn't happen with humans. Humans are super complex, and you have to get to know them first. That's why at the beginning I mentioned the importance of getting to know people, how they think, how they want to receive the message, and all of that, so that when you are at this phase right now where you want to pass your message and you want to establish goals and you want to motivate them and you want also to have them happy and balanced, there is all of this to take into account at individual level, then as a group, and inside the organization, what does the organization provide as support for you to do this? And
Mm,
that's why we see this is an art, because this is actually very complex. It's really fun when you learn how to do it, but at the beginning it can be really overwhelming.
of course. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. And how how can leaders ensure that they're also supporting the well-being? Because this famous work-life balance, which is important, right? And well-being, and yeah, just take care of that to make sure that they are not, I don't know, overworking, over delivering, and just burning out, because this is very, very common thing in tech, or from in the linguistic world where I came from. It's very common. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there, I actually had some severe burnout like some years ago, and it's not the place where I want anybody to be, and including myself.
No, and I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm also going to share that I've been there as well. And the amount of people in this industry that are experience are experiencing something very close to a burnout or have been in burnouts, it's very high. Only when I started opening up about myself and my case to people around me or my managers, that's when I start hearing the stories that you don't see anywhere. But in private, people will actually confess and say, "Oh, actually, I've been through this, or I was out of job for this, or I've been in treatment." So um, burnout is a real thing. Mental health, there is a reason why we all talk about it, because especially in tech, and tech is now the new gold rush. So there is a lot of push from every single organization to just drive results forward and work extra hours. And
Mm,
as a manager, there is a magical word you'll need to learn in order to protect yourself and your team. And it's the word no. And it's right.
I
So
love that. Okay.
So this is why is this a magical word? It's really hard to say no, but it's your role as a true leader to understand how much you and your team can do and protect yourself and your team from excessive work or excessive requests or excessive pressure. So
Mm,
that's I always saw myself as kind of an umbrella so of my teams. And I go to the meeting and I ask for the requirements and I ask for deadlines. I come back, I see what's possible, back and forth until we get to a point where my team is comfortable with the deadlines that we're providing. And I put a risk factor there, 10, 20%. I go to senior management. No one likes what I'm going to say in this meeting. I had meetings. I once had a meeting with a marketing manager, and she actually said, "I'm going to speak to the CI, no, the CTO." She said, I'm a personal friend of the CTO. After this call, I'm going to speak to him, and you're going to be fired." And I thought, oh, I thought, oh my god, I was so afraid. This was right at the beginning of my career, and the second thought I had was, no, I'm going to turn this around because already then I had a lot of coaching, a lot of mindset work done in me. So I looked at her and said, "Oh, that'd be great because I actually don't have resources for this project. And if you have direct access to the CTO, maybe he can give you more resources." Next day, she was in the office in the morning inside the CTO office, and I am, shaking. I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna get fired.
Wow. Okay.
She comes out of the office and she has this stiff face. I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened there. But I waited just a little bit, knocked at the CTO's office, and I asked him, "Can I have a word with you?" And we had a good relationship. This was a small organization, and he said, "What do you want?" And and I was like, "Okay, so we just had a meeting with that person, and I'm kind of curious on what the outcome was." He looked at me and he said, "This project is not a priority for us at the moment, so there's nothing I can do." So I said thank you, closed the door, went back. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep doing my job. But it's so difficult to say the no. It's so difficult to stand in front of an external client, internal client,
Yep.
or business partner and say, look, we don't have capacity to do more. But this is where your strength as a leader, as a team manager comes from. Because
Mhm.
the more time you give to your team, the proper time for your team to think, develop, test, have time to also have a bit of fun. We're talking about having fun. So what is important in the team is that they can have time to work, have time a bit of time for also self development. So
Mhm.
it should be in their calendars. I always recommend that either to my coaches or to the team leaders I work with, have time in your calendar on your weekly basis, uh, 2 hours, three, whatever you think it's possible for studying, reading, watching YouTube videos. I don't know, wherever you're going to get that information from. It's very important that you allocate that time. And it's also important to have time for fun
Mhm.
and for celebration, right?
Mm, I love that. Yes, absolutely. So resonating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, no, this is amazing. Yeah, and also recognizing their achievements, celebrating with them, some even small one or some big one. This is something that I also am doing with my clients a lot, and it's so hard for them in the beginning because they don't allow themselves to recognize it, that no, this is not good enough, so always striving for more, right? Or just not noticing, no, there was like nothing, no progress there, and okay, what about this, what about this? So I'm kind of trying to bring some awareness to some things just as a fact, just what they did, and they're like, oh yeah, I even didn't recognize. So we basically train, to notice. And I'm like, no, I cannot say that I'm hard on them, right, for that thing, but I'm kind of constantly bringing this up and we discuss it a lot. And I see that it's really helpful because then they understand, okay, and they kind of building and they're building their confidence also over the time. Yeah, I'm doing actually the same. I also have some piece of paper or whatever, yeah, just like write down some small wins, yeah, so I kind of keep track also of what I'm doing because it helps, to look back and oh my gosh, yeah, I'm actually okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a team, just to complement on what you're saying,
Mhm,
so as a team manager or team leader, what you can do is, again, set a time. It can be twice a month, for example,
mhm,
and you just set a time for reflection and celebration. And you can ask, again, these three questions: what went well, what can we improve upon, and what are we celebrating? Or something as simple as this brings everybody on the call. Everybody says for 1 minute, what went well in this last period, what could we improve again, and what am I celebrating. And after this, this is such it has such high levels of energy, this kind of call,
Oh yeah.
because people feel energized from their achievements, but they also feel energized from each everyone else's achievements. And it might be something small, like, oh, I was really struggling with this piece of code, but I asked Anne and she helped me, and I'm so happy, I'm so grateful for for her help, and I was able to overcome this. So it's a double celebration. I'm celebrating myself, I'm celebrating the colleague, it's a positive energy. So it just, again, runs around, and it doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be, oh, it's going to we're going to spend the 5 hours. No, team building can be done with little drops on the morning call, little drops end of the week coffee chat, and celebrate your team members. So even if you don't have a meeting officially, whenever something nice happens, just drop a message on the group channel, whatever. Say, hey, I'm really happy with this,
Mm,
guys. I done this week, for example, on the Friday, end of the day or middle of the Friday, guys. This week, I'm really happy. This happened. This happened. This happened. This happened. Celebrate that way, and people read the message and they finish their week saying, "Oh yeah, really, I forgot. It feels like it's been a month. I already forgot that I had done that on Monday or Tuesday, and now my manager is recognizing that for me." And that's super, super valuable to them. And it's for you a few minutes.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we do forget, right? We just like, oh yeah, I did it, and yeah, next, next, next. The pace right now is like so fast, and we do forget. But when we kind of document, or what you said is really powerful, because I also experience it myself. I have like I mentioned that I have a coach, right? And sometimes we also have like once a week, like a session in a group, in a community together. And we also like the first thing that he asks, it's okay, what are your small wins, guys? And we're just sharing, something, and we're like celebrating together. And yeah, and then we ask some questions, and we kind of, oh, you needed, I don't know, to do some, I don't know, to create some website. I can, connect you to, I don't know, these guys. And so we're kind of helping each other. So I completely agree, and resonate with this point, like so much. And it doesn't take long. It can take just a little bit, but it's so powerful.
No, and another thing, it's also on a one-on-one basis, because we want to keep the one-on-one basis with everyone on our team.
Right.
Send them a private message. If someone did something good, or you notice an act of kindness, or even if
Mm,
it's a small gesture, send that message. Hey, Alice, really like what you did in this meeting. Hey, John, I really liked that when you contributed and you gave me this idea. So it's super important that we keep nurturing people. And I'm not saying this in a patronizing way. This has to be genuine. This has to
yeah.
be aligned with who you are. But
Mm,
try to find the most authentic way of doing it. Because the more you give this feedback, also people will start giving you that feedback. They'll say, "Oh, Maria, I really liked your feedback around this, or I really liked in that meeting when you said that," and they'll feel closer to give you more honest feedback, good and bad, and also to be more open about what they actually want from the job, from their career. So this creates a connection. It's
mm,
kind of a friendship in a way, because you are still establishing a professional relationship, but a more kind, more warm, more tender kind of relationship, so that vulnerability can come, and truth and honesty can also flourish from that.
yeah, yeah, because there is also the safe environment, right? We establish this foundation. Wow, that's amazing. I don't know. Thank you so much for all you experienced today, for all your warmth and wisdom and kindness and storytelling. Like telling those like what's next. With the CTO. What did he say? It's like so hooked.
Oh, I'll tell you, the next 6 months were not easy for me, but eventually she got there.
I see. But anyway, yeah. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, it was really interesting, and yeah, you see that there are like lots of comments, guys. If I haven't, I don't know, mentioned someone who wrote their some question or comment, it means I don't see it. It's in my settings, as I mentioned in the beginning, and I'm trying to yeah figure this out. I hope I will do this, but for now, yes, it is as it is. So I hope that I mentioned everybody who wrote. Thank you so much, Carla. Yes, and I do hope that we will again, do some lives on some different topics and so on. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody that's watching live or recording. We really appreciate you coming here, you contributing. Even if you're watching the recording, please drop comments as well. We will keep on answering to the comments. And if you need anything from me or Maria, just drop us a direct message. We are here to help and support in whatever we can. So thank you,
Absolutely.
Maria, for the opportunity. I love the energy. You're a great interviewer, and we have these chats, as you said the other day. We have these chats in private. Why not making them public and having more people benefiting from them? I'm super happy to be here, and I'm really looking forward to do another topic and share more about my experience and stories. As you say, I love to tell stories. So yeah, let's do
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, we will do that. That's just all said.
it.
Yes, yes. Okay, so thank you again. Rebecca Diaz, just want to share that Rebecca Diaz, she said, congrats. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Yes. Yes, yes. And also, LinkedIn user, thank you. Thanks, Carla.
Thank you, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you being here and listening and growing. You're investing in yourself, so congratulations. You see, celebration.
Celebration already. Yes.
Well done, well done.
This person is celebrating, you see, already like with some perfect, yes.
Yes,
Okay, so thank you everyone who came here. Thank you again so much. And yeah, we will be again doing this some lives and everything together. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much.
thank you.